Hello everyone, welcome to a Fistful of Dice. I'm Matt, and today we're going to be doing a non-gaming related video. This video is going to have nothing to do with gaming. I've tried to think about a way that I can sort of somehow connect it to tabletop gaming or just gaming in general somehow, and I've come up empty. So I'm just gonna be, straight up with it and say that it's not gaming related, but it's something that I'm passionate about and something that I kind of want to talk about on the channel. And if other people are interested in it too, that's great. But if not, whatever. Um, some of you probably know that just through Facebook and the blog and stuff that um, outside of tabletop gaming, I'm also very much into music. I'm a musician. I play bass and drums. I'm in a band, and I'm a huge metalhead. I love heavy metal music. And one of my favorite subgenres of metal is prog metal. And prog metal is one of those really different subgenres of metal that sort of mixes progressive rock music with sort of the heaviness of metal music. And there's a few different prog metal bands out there, and it's actually a fairly big subgenre nowadays. There's a lot of great prog metal bands out there right now. But when prog metal was first sort of becoming a thing, there were just a few bands out. There was bands like Queensryche, Symphony X came a little bit later, and then there was Dream Theater. And that's what the series of videos is going to be about. It's going to be about Dream Theater. And why is it going to be about Dream Theater? Well, for one, it gives me an excuse to talk about Dream Theater, which I can do at length. But also because Dream Theater is something that I am very much into. They're my favorite band. I have all of their stuff, all of their live DVDs. I actually have a collection of Dream Theater things, some pretty rare items, and I'm collecting the vinyls currently. So I thought that if I'm going to do a series where I talk about Dream Theater, this progressive metal band that I love so much, I might do an intro video sort of introducing the band, giving some basic information on them, and also sort of my experience with them and why I am so into them. So Dream Theater is a prog metal band. And they were founded in the mid-'80s by guitarist John Petrucci, drummer Mike Portnoy, and bassist John Mayong. And the three of them all attended the Berklee College of Music. And John Petrucci and John Mayong had known each other for a long time because they'd grown up together, and they'd been in several bands together before. And at Berklee, they met Mike Portnoy, and they sort of decided to start a band that was sort of a mix of like Rush and Metallica and Yes, just all these sort of classic prog rock bands with mingled with sort of the speed or the thrash metal that was sort of emerging at that time. And also, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and all that too. But so they ended up forming this band called Majesty, and eventually they acquired a keyboardist, a guy named Kevin Moore, who was also a childhood friend of John Petrucci's, and they went through a few vocalists before they finally landed on, hang on, I'm gonna have to look up his name because I always forget. Oh, no, I remember, Charlie Dominici. And they had Charlie Dominici for a few years and actually recorded an album with Charlie Dominici. But eventually they found out that Majesty was actually already a band. They couldn't call themselves Majesty. And so they were trying to think of a new name, and I think it was Mike Portnoy's father that that suggested the name Dream Theater, which was the name of a cinema, an old theater in their hometown. And they all thought that sounded kind of cool, so they went with that, and the name has stuck for ever since then. Throughout the years, Dream Theater has sort of fluctuated between their prog roots and their metal roots. They have albums that are more proggy, and they have albums that are decidedly heavier. For example, their most recent album, A Dramatic Turn of Events, is much more proggy, more in line with their initial sound, whereas an album like... give me a second. An album like Train of Thought is almost exclusively heavy stuff, very metal-y. And they sort of always rode this line between prog and metal, and when they meet in the middle, it's my favorite kind of music ever. They've had some lineup changes over the years. Keyboardist Kevin Moore left after their third album, Awake, and they replaced him with... oh man, I'm just forgetting everybody's names right now. Oh man, what is his name? Hang on. Oh, that kills me. How do I not remember the guy? Derek Sherinian. As soon as I open my browser, I remember the guy's name. They replaced him with Derek Sherinian, who was a great keyboardist, but didn't really mix with the band very well, personality-wise. And eventually they replaced him with Jordan Rudess, who is their keyboardist, has been their keyboardist since then. Their current vocalist is James LaBrie, and they have had James LaBrie since their second album. They replaced Charlie Dominici with James LaBrie. And James LaBrie has a great vocal range and kind of a unique style to his voice. He's sort of like Geddy Lee in that some people think his voice is very harsh sounding, but I'm a fan of it. And they also, just recently, I think in 2010, Mike Portnoy left the band, which was a huge thing. Even if you're not a fan of Dream Theater, you might have heard about that because it was kind of a big deal. You also might have heard of Mike Portnoy because he was the drummer for Avenged Sevenfold after the Rev died. He's not anymore, but he filled in for the Rev after that. And they replaced him with Mike Mangini, who you might know from the band Extreme. He's also played for Steve Vai, and he's just kind of a big session guy. He's done a lot of studio work for people. And he is actually a professor at Berkeley. So that was kind of cool that they managed to get somebody else who had connections to Berkeley. So, in any case, Dream Theater, along with like Queensryche and Symphony X, really sort of pioneered the prog metal genre, a genre that is widespread nowadays. And they sort of were one of the first bands to sort of combine like heavy metal guitar and drums with, you know, kind of proggy keys and vocals. And it's really a style of music that I very much enjoy. So let's talk about how I got into Dream Theater and why I'm so into them. In, I think it was junior high, I started getting into heavy music. And I started, like most kids do, with like AC/DC and Metallica. And from there, in high school, I started getting into thrash stuff. So, you know, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Megadeth, the big four. And then from there, I sort of branched out and discovered some smaller bands like Exodus and Testament, Sodom, Destruction, bands like that. And from there, I just sort of, I branched out, discovering all different kinds of metal, from classic new wave of British heavy metal like Motorhead and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden to modern bands like Mastodon and Tesseract. And what music really caught my ear was prog metal. I think the first Dream Theater album, the first Dream Theater song that I ever heard was Octavarium off of the album Octavarium. Octavarium is I think it's like a 21-minute song comprising 5 different sections. And each section is written by a different member of the band. And the song sort of contains lots of little homages to other songs and bands. And there are lyrical themes throughout the song that call back to earlier tracks on Octavarium and also earlier Dream Theater albums. And I remember just hearing this song, which opens with a keyboard solo and then a guitar solo, and then just hits really hard. And I just remember being just blown away by the power of it, by the majesty of it. It really wasn't a majestic song. It was sort of like, I mean, I don't want to oversell it, but like if a classical composer like Beethoven or Bach was sort of like born in this era, like maybe he'd be writing stuff like Octavarium, these just grand sweeping pieces that tell a story and have recurring themes and sort of chord progressions that sort of speak to one another. Very musician-y stuff. And even though I really loved Octavarium, I didn't get heavily into Dream Theater until later. And I think it was when well, let's see here. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I'm going to get a little personal here, but I'm going to try not to make it too sappy. But I was in a relationship with a person through high school and college. And in my junior year of college, the relationship ended, and I was in a very kind of dark place. I mean, I wasn't suicidal or anything, but I was definitely dealing with some depression and just complete loss of motivation and confidence. And I was really struggling for a while, having trouble in school. I was really struggling academically, and it was just a rough time for me. And I sort of fell back on my love of metal music, and that really sort of helped me. And obviously, friends and family were indispensable at that time, and I can't thank the people enough that helped me through that hard time. But one of the bands that I really got into during this time was Dream Theater, and I remember shortly after the breakup, I went to an Iron Maiden concert with my buddy Tom. And Dream Theater was opening for Iron Maiden. And even though I enjoyed Iron Maiden's set, which was mostly new stuff, they didn't play a lot of old stuff, so I was kind of bummed about that. Even though I enjoyed Iron Maiden's set, because I freaking love Iron Maiden, the set that really stuck out in my mind was Dream Theater. And they were just a powerhouse on stage. I just could not believe that they sounded that good, that they could play these intricate pieces live without any sort of timing issues or anything like that. And from there I was hooked. I slowly acquired all of their albums, and I'll tell you what, like, if there's one band out there that is just a joy to discover their discography, it's been Dream Theater for me. Like, every single, like, I wish I could go back to before I knew all of their stuff so well so I could rediscover these albums, because it's just, it really is a journey. And Dream Theater for me is like, it's this band that they've made it. Like, they're a big band. They do this for a living, but they're not, they're such humble guys, you know what I mean? And I've watched interviews with these guys and videos where they're so thankful for what they're able to do with their lives, and They're all family men, very devoted to their families, but they're devoted to their music, and it's a craft for them. It really is an art form. And each one of these guys, John Mayung, John Petrucci, Jordan Rudess, James Labrie, and Mike Mangini, are some of the best at what they do. There are better bands out there, but there is no other band, in my opinion, that has as many powerhouse talents on each instrument as Dream Theater. Each one of these guys is a visionary on their instrument. As a bassist, I look up to John Mayung. He is an amazing musician. And as somebody who dabbles in drums, Mike Portnoy and Mike Mangini are titans. Titans! So from a musician's standpoint, Dream Theater is a band that I look up to and am greatly inspired by. As a person, though, I mean, I really enjoy Dream Theater's music. I enjoy the sound of it. I enjoy their instrumentals, their solos. I enjoy the way their songs and their albums are structured. I really enjoy the storytelling aspect of their lyrics, how they cover so many different things. I mean, they have a song called The Great Debate that's about stem cell research. You know, they just have all these different themes that they're covering, and very important things that not every band out there is tackling. So, yeah, Dream Theater is definitely my favorite band. And it took me a while to realize that, but I really I can't get enough of those guys. So I really hope I'm able to see them live again. I saw them live, I saw them live not this past fall, but the fall before, in Seattle, and they were phenomenal. I was like 5 rows back, and it was an experience for me. It really was. And I hope to someday, meet these guys and be able to shake their hands and just kind of, not be weird about it, but let them know how much their music has meant to me. But in any case, so that's sort of gives you a good idea of Dream Theater and my sort of relationship with Dream Theater's music. If you're interested in checking out Dream Theater, there are a few albums I can suggest. If you're into more heavy stuff, I would say check out the album Awake and Train of Thought. If you're into proggy stuff, give a listen to Images and Words, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, Octavarium, and their most recent album, A Dramatic Turn of Events. So I'm going to be doing, if you guys like this, I'm going to do one of these videos maybe every week, just sort of talking about different aspects of Dream Theater. And the next episode, I'm going to be talking about their live DVDs, of which I have all of them. And then I'll do a video on their albums, a video on their live albums, maybe a video on different things I have in my Dream Theater sort of collection of stuff. And also I can talk about different histories of the band or whatever. But in any case, don't know if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff, but hey, if you get a kick out of it, that's cool. And if there's any other Dream Theater fans out there among the RPG community on YouTube, let me know. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and yeah, take care, everybody.